My name is Spencer, and I am a seven-figure agency owner, and today I am answering questions from Shopify brand owners. And to give you context, these questions are coming from our clients at our done-for-you agency, Easy A Media, and these brand owners range in size from low six figures per month to $2, $3, $4 million per month in total sales. And a few of these questions also come from our consulting program over at Evolve, which has brand owners that are doing six figures per year and some even doing as much as $1 million per month there as well. So let's go ahead and jump into the first question. So the first question I have here is, what are your thoughts on AI content? Well, when it comes to AI content, I'm not gonna lie, we have definitely been trying to push that a lot more at the agency. I have to give a big shout out to our creative director, Pawliw. He is kind of leading the charge there, and he just every week just wows me with some of the stuff that is happening with AI, more specifically on the content side of things. To give you some freebies, some tools that we're currently using right now, ArcAds, which actually allows us to create AI UGC, which is pretty crazy. And I'm not gonna lie, there even is a big push happening right now. For those of you that are on TikTok, there's a platform called TikTok Symphony, which is actually AI creators as well. So the whole AI content creation thing for video, I don't think is 100% there yet. Over the next few months or even the next year or so, I definitely expect it to just be flooded in the market. And then when it comes to graphics and imagery, if you're using a tool like Midjourney, we actually run lots of ads using Midjourney if you have a product that is easy for the AI to understand. For example, we have a client that has soups, and it's very easy to create very hyper realistic content and images with a tool like Midjourney. So when it comes to AI content, I am very, very bullish, but I'm also kind of scared because I don't really know what's going to happen when, you could basically shoot a movie in a few minutes, or an AI can basically make you multiple winning ads every minute, compared to having to have a copywriter and a video editor and this and that. So it's going to be a pretty interesting world, I think, with AI content. But for now, we're doing our best to keep up with it. And those are a few tools that we're using and trying out the agency to drive results for our clients. How many concepts and iterations do you launch per week as an e-commerce brand? No minimum budget, just wondering how much you guys are testing. So at the agency right now, we launch a minimum of 1 to 2 concepts per week, which for us typically ends out into 3 to 6 actual ads, because we run in a method called the 3-2-2 method, which means 3 creatives, 2 pieces of body copy, and 2 headlines. Those 3 creatives are typically, they have small iterations around a concept. So if we're doing a concept around knee pain, we might have 3 different headlines or 3 different images or 3 different visual hooks on that ad. And that would be an example of a concept and obviously our 3 ad creatives. That said, we do have a very in-depth process when it comes to creating ads for clients. So 1 to 2 concepts for us is actually a lot more in depth than it might seem. We do know a lot of brands out there that are really pushing volume and testing, 1 to 2 concepts per day. And I think there is a place for that. I've been asked this question a lot as well. Should I just test more if I want to scale? And a lot of the times what we see people doing is that they try to just get as many creatives as they can. They don't review any ads. And what can end up happening is you will get to some level of scale. But what we found is that, when we audit brands that are spending the upwards of $1 million a month, they typically have 3 to 5 ads that are really driving all of the performance. And so what our agency focuses on is trying to make, those really powerful, strong ads that can, double, triple, quadruple your ad spend at your target KPI. And so we've really tried to consolidate down and have more of a sniper approach compared to the shotgun approach, meaning that, you're just shotgunning ad creatives into your ad account and not really thinking about it. With that said, when it comes to testing ad creatives, I think there's, you got to have a bit of both. Especially if you want to scale. All of our brands that are spending above 10,000 a day typically have some kind of approach where we're testing a large volume of UGC or organic content. And then we're also, having our strategic approach, trying to create those ads that can generate, hundreds of thousands, sometimes even millions of dollars. So to answer your question, make sure you're testing creatives at least once a week. And if you can, try to, bump that up, I'd say to 3 to 5 concepts a week, and you'll be in a really good place. Next question is, why can't I increase my budget to over 1K per day without the campaign being less profitable than when it's at $700 per day? What are your recommendations? Obviously, this question is asking why can't they scale further? Really, all scaling is reaching colder audiences. So if you are spending $700 a day and you scale up to $1,000 per day and then you start to lose your efficiency goes down. What that means is that your ads just are not good enough to go out and get colder audiences, because Facebook is going to be getting you results right now with the ads that you give it at a certain budget. And as soon as you try to go beyond that budget, it's going to fail because your ads are not effective. So what you need to do in order to actually scale is you need to drive up your efficiency. So the way that I try to frame it to people is that your goal when you're creating new ads or new landing pages or testing offers is you need to increase your efficiency higher at your current spend. So that way you can scale up and then your efficiency, comes back down, right? And so as long as your efficiency coming back down is at your target, then you've been able to scale further. And so it's a constant game of pushing efficiency, raising budgets, and then pushing efficiency again and raising budgets. And that's kind of what you're doing. It's kind of like a step-by-step model. Now, the reason why you most likely are not scaling though with the ads that you have is because, again, they just cannot convert a cold audience. And a lot of people don't realize this, but most of your ads on Meta, and the reason why they do so well, and Meta can be a great platform, is they're going after people who are kind of in the market. Meta has a ton of data. And so you're basically advertising most of the time to people that are product aware or just like really looking for your specific solution, whatever it is that you're selling. And so in order to scale, you have to have the skill set to be able to convince more people and sometimes climb up market. And, maybe someone's not directly looking for a new hairdryer right now, but if you can make an ad that shows how it's better than their hairdryer and they're missing out by not having your product, you can take someone who doesn't want your product right now and turn them into somebody that's giving you cash when they didn't even think they needed a hairdryer, right? And so that's what great advertising is all about. And if you can convert someone who doesn't really need your product or doesn't think that they need your product and convince them to buy it, that's what scaling in Meta is all about. You're trying to make ads and create customer journeys that can accomplish that. And so if you focus more on creating a better customer journey or focus on going after a market with more people in it, like people who are solution aware, problem aware, just compared to just product aware, then you're likely going to be able to scale further. And again, that just comes down to your creative strategy with ads and building a better customer journey. Next question on here is, I'm considering potentially hiring some influencers. Does influencer strategy still work to scale e-com brands? What are your thoughts? 100% it does. We have some clients that have paid the upwards of $50,000 to work with an influencer and get them to post content, and it has made them hundreds of thousands, if not millions. So influencer strategy definitely still can work. With that said, I definitely don't think it is as effective as it once was. And the reason why I say that is because when you work with influencers now, it really is more about building a brand than it is about having, direct transactions from them. So if you have specific people posting about your product, people will then associate your product with that influencer, which can either be good for your brand or not so good, obviously, if you choose the wrong influencer, right? And so when it comes to influencer marketing and that kind of strategy, I'm definitely not an expert on it, but it 100% can work as long as you do it the right way. One thing that I have noticed is that working with YouTube content creators and influencers seems to be a little bit more powerful than, somebody who just has a big following on TikTok or Instagram. We've noticed that audiences on YouTube are a lot more attached to, the people because they spend so much more time with them watching long form videos. So definitely 100% influencer marketing does still work. And it's also a phenomenal way to build brand. Just make sure that you're working with influencers that are going to support your brand and also have, your ideal audience, as their audience to make it actually, beneficial for you and to ultimately, make an ROI from it. The next question on here is, what is the most important hire for an e-commerce brand to grow? Well, if you ask some people in the space, I saw a tweet about this recently. Apparently a video editor is the best person to hire. And I would add a little caveat to that, I would say a visual designer is the best first person to probably hire. And the reason why is because if you can have someone that knows graphic design and video editing, and is just a very creative person, you're going to be able to have someone that can execute a lot of your ideas. Because the truth is if you're an e-commerce brand owner, you're a founder, you might be marketing driven. And if you are, then that's perfect. Or you might be product driven. And what I know about a lot of founders and CEOs as I work alongside so many of them is some of them have just amazing ideas, right? We chat with a lot of our clients all the time. Like, we have this idea, that idea. I'm like, you know what? That's actually a really good idea. The problem is they don't have anybody that could execute. So if I was an e-commerce brand owner and I was looking to make a hire in-house, I would definitely recommend looking at hiring somebody that's not just a video editor, but also a graphic designer. So just a creative talent to help bring some things to life. And depending on the hire that you make, if they're even local to you, you could also have them try to start shooting some content with you, right? Order your product and have them do some filming, have them shoot some photos, do some funny videos with it, right? I would just look to hire someone who's creative and has that skill set, because really content is kind of the name of the game. Now, with that said, AI content is going to have something to say about that for whoever that visual designer is that you hire. But that's definitely the first hire that I would recommend that you make. But at the end of the day, also look at your strengths and look at your weaknesses. I'm obviously talking more about the front end side of things. Whereas if you are maybe a great marketer and you just want to, you know how to market anything, the best first hire that you can make is maybe a product designer. Maybe you hire a product designer that can make you incredible products so that way you can go and market them, right? So it really depends on your brand and where you're at. But if you ask me, the first hire that I would make as an e-commerce brand owner looking to grow, considering I already have a brand and I want to scale further, is probably some kind of really talented creative person or visual designer to help bring my big ideas to life. Now, for the final question that I have here. Hey, Spencer, I am currently stuck at 100K per month and I want to scale further, but I'm just really not sure what to do. I'm currently running Facebook ads and seeing decent results, but I've been plateaued for the last few months. What would be your steps to breaking through this plateau and ultimately scaling further? That's a great question. This is something that we definitely help brands with. And the first thing that I would say you need to do is take a step back and hit the reset button a little bit. That's where sometimes I will say going out and chatting with some agencies to get a fresh perspective on things can be very beneficial. A lot of brand owners that we speak with are at a stage where they are plateaued, maybe at 100,000, maybe it's 300,000, maybe it's $1 million a month, and they're stuck and they want to keep growing. And so bringing in some new ideas and some fresh ideas is probably the best thing that you can do. But with that said, when you're hitting that reset button a little bit, or you're trying to get a fresh perspective, you just really need to go back to the fundamentals and look at, okay, what is my product? What does it do and how does it help people? And then the next question is, who does it help? And then you're trying to get very specific on who that person is. And you maybe need to consider a few more avatars, and you might need to do some more research on problems that your product solves and learning more about how that person is currently trying to solve their problems. And ultimately just going back to the fundamentals of what is the desire that people want, and then potentially changing the desire as well. You might be marketing a product to a very niche audience, and there might be a bigger desire out there that you just haven't tapped into. And so that's something that definitely taking a step back and trying to get some fresh eyes onto the brand and thinking through, okay, what is the product? Who are we going to sell it to? And then from there, just switching up your execution. I think that's super important as well. If you're constantly just, making the same ads over and over and over and over and over, you definitely need to try something new and try something different. And that's why, again, doing the research to better understand your avatar and how you're going to position the product is super important. So that way, you know what to go and execute. But that is one of the first things that I would do. But then the next thing that I would do is I would start looking at specific metrics on my store to figure out where the leaks are. For example, some brands might have a really low conversion rate. Other brands might have a really low average order value. Some brands might be paying ridiculous amounts for their traffic. And so I would start looking at where is the bottleneck in the business. And by looking at that, maybe it also might be your profit margin as well. Maybe you're just not making as much profit because your margins are terrible. So maybe before you go and scale, you need to go have a conversation with your supplier and try to find a way to actually get better margins. So that way you have capital to maybe go and test some more things or hire an agency to come and help, right? So I would really start looking at where the bottlenecks are in the business. But for a lot of brands that we look at, there's typically a bottleneck with getting traffic to the store, with converting the traffic on the store, or getting people on the store to actually spend more. And so a lot of the times what we would do is we will be able to identify like, oh, we just need better ads that are more engaging, and ultimately we should be able to scale further. And that would be an issue of where maybe the cost per click in the ad account is super high. But with that said, again, cost per click is a softer metric, so don't get too caught up on it. But if you're paying a lot for traffic and your conversion rate is not really profitable with it, then I would try to get cheaper traffic. With that said, a lot of brands, what we see is they have too low of a conversion rate, or their average order value is too low. And so what I would be doing is looking for ways to try to improve average order value. Maybe that is product development. Maybe that is creating bundles. Maybe that's just positioning the product in a new way so people buy more, right? Trying to get more people to spend more money on the site can also help you scale. And then another thing that I would look at, because I think this is the biggest thing that most people struggle with, is conversion rate. I would start looking at my funnel and I would be analyzing it to see, who is this speaking to, right? Who am I selling to? Are they going to be aligned with this? And a big breakthrough that we've been having for our clients recently at the agency is just implementing better landing pages. If you're not using landing pages on your store, I'd highly encourage you to look at your ad, analyze who it's calling out, and then imagine putting on that customer hat and going to the website. And I can almost guarantee for a lot of you, whoever you're attracting in your ad, there is nothing that really aligns to that on the product page or on the homepage or wherever you're sending traffic. So building landing pages that speak more to that specific customer is a great way to kind of smash through any bottlenecks. But for a lot of brands that are plateaued at around 100K, it typically just means you need to test more ad creatives, you need to test better ad creatives, and then you may or may not need to create a better landing page for those ads to ultimately get to, multiple six figures per month. And then for our brands that are really looking to scale, say you're plateaued at around 1 million, obviously there's a little bit more work to do there, but maybe that's a question for the next video. But with that said, that is what I would do if I was plateaued at 100K per month, and hopefully that answers your question. All right, so those are the questions that I have for today. If you guys enjoyed this different style of video, definitely let me know in the comments down below. And if you happen to be a Shopify brand owner and you like some of my answers, or you want to have us come in and give you a fresh perspective on your brand because maybe you're plateaued at a couple $1 million per year, I'd highly encourage you to check out easyAmedia.com down below, apply to work with a team, and you can book a one-on-one call to get a custom action plan from me. With all that said, thank you so much if you made it to the end for taking the time to watch this week's video, and I will see you in the next one.